A very good afternoon to you and welcome to NTV at One. My name is Edmond Nyabola and these are some of the stories making headlines at this hour. As the clamor for a change in the constitution continues, the Katiba Institute, which is a non-governmental institution specializing in matters of constitution, is now warning that the move to change the law might be premature. They are instead calling for the full implementation of the current constitution first before talks on amending it can begin. The institute says that an audit of the constitution as currently is shows that its implementation has been paralyzed. NTV's Silas Apollo has been following a dialogue on the constitution organized by the institution and now gives us a recap of the discussions. Silas?
Yes, Edmond, it was a pretty interesting conversation today at the Katiba Institute. They were having a session, early morning session at Tufunga Manor House. And of course, one of the contentious issues in the clamor to change the constitution, which has been a debate propagated by a section of politicians. It started with the NASA coalition where they came up with the Okoa Kenya initiative. That somehow flopped. And then there have been quite a number. There's the Punguza Mzigo, which is by Ekuru Court, which of course has also been gaining momentum in the past. They've already submitted signatures to the IBC. IBC says it's verifying these issues. And if you look at all these presentations and all these proposals by NASA, by Okoa Kenya, and by NASA and by Ekuru Court and all these others, is to reorganize the structure of the government and the governance system. They argue that currently it's pretty expensive to run the constitution as it is, so we need to change some of the things in the constitution. Of course, there's also the issue of the winner take it all, where they have the presidential system. So once an election is done, the losers go home discontent, and the winner takes almost everything in terms of appointment, in terms of the majority of slots in Parliament, both the National Assembly and the Senate. So these are some of the things they want to change. So Katiba Institute today was having a dialogue and a conversation to look at, do we really need to change these things, or we need to have the constitution implemented fully? Katiba Institute argues that as much as the constitution has a few issues that we need to tweak here and there, first of all, we need to implement it fully. Once it has been implemented fully, then we'll be able to know what are the issues that are there, what are the places we need to tweak in the constitution. Of course, they also give you out some of the consideration that they want put in place in terms of what are the places that needs to be tweaked. They talk about the National Assembly and the Senate. There's been a tussle and a tug of war between the National Assembly and the Senate on who has more powers, who should oversee who, and also who should also make laws and who should oversee counties. There's also been the issue of governors, of course, being corrupt and devolution, not having enough money, being sent enough money. So those are some of the issues that they say needs to be looked at. But first, they argue that we need first to implement the constitution fully. Once we've done that fully, then we can talk about changing the constitution. So here's a bite of what the executive director, Christine Kongo, talked about.
By and large, we believe the structure of governance really, there's no evidence to change it in the way that has been suggested by a number of political actors. There are one or two places where there needs to be tweaking, but by and large, we believe the constitution is not working as it should be because there's not been full implementation.
All right, so that's what she said. It's a conversation that is still ongoing. Whether the change of the constitution will take place or it will not take place, that is a debate for another day. But right now they argue, let's first implement what we have and then we can see what we can do going forward. Back to you, Edmond.
Thank you so much, Silas Apollo. Certainly a conversation that will dominate headlines going forward, of course, as a result of the Building Bridges initiative that has been going around the country collecting views on what Kenyans think. And this issue of changing the constitution has been one of them that have been raised by sections of government or leaders and Kenyans alike. Now, State House spokesperson Kanze Dena says President Uhuru Kenyatta's public outburst on Sunday was justified. Speaking at a press conference Tuesday morning at State House, Nairobi, Kanze said constant politicking by politicians, especially those from the president's backyard, had become a bit too much. Kanze also dispelled talk of a rift between the president and his deputy, arguing that their relationship is in fact intact.
Rais ni mvumilivu. Na alikuwa amevumilia, na kila alipokuwa katika mikutano alikuwa anasema jamanini, tuachane nini na siasa, tuangalie maendeleo ya Wakenya na tuangalie umoja wa Wakenya. Akalisema mara ya kwanza, ya pili, ya tatu ikawa imekuwa wimbo. Kwa kweli kama wanavyosema katika fizikia kuna ile inaitwa elastic limit. wakati umefika sasa wa kuweza kufahamu ya kwamba masuala ya siasa hayataweza kupewa kipaumbele ama hataki yapewe kipaumbele. Maendeleo na umoja wa Kenya ndio masuala ambayo yanataka kushughulikiwa.
Government briefing in Kiswahili by Kanzedena. Sounds good, I should say. The government will, beginning July 1st this year, freeze hiring of new entry-level employees on permanent and pensionable terms in favor of a 3-year renewable contract. The shift to the performance contracting model is part of the new measures that the government is banking on to tame the ballooning public sector wage bill, which is estimated to hit 790 billion shillings in the next financial year.
It is only at entry level that we are hiring fresh graduates and diploma holders on contract. And we have done our study very clearly. Kiprop and the team here, the migratory trends in employment in your age group, you barely wanted to be in one job for 2 years. And therefore, we also have to move with the trends.
And moving on, a fault in an aircraft's warning system caused Kenya Airways flight from Mombasa to Nairobi to turn back and safely land in Mombasa last evening. According to a statement by Kenya Airways, the system raised a false mechanical alarm that forced the captain to take precautionary safety measures and head back to Mombasa. Flight KQ609 left Mombasa in the evening at around 5:54 p.m. but landed back on the same airport 40 minutes later. The flight had 95 passengers and 5 crew members. The plane has been grounded, with some of the passengers being placed on other flights to Nairobi, while a number of them were given accommodation with a view to travel back to the city today. And now to a sad story. Shock engulfed residents of Mwanya Kwambara village in Kisii County after they discovered the body of a 4-month-old child. The baby had been killed and dumped in a pit latrine, allegedly by the parents. According to neighbors, a couple, 38-year-old Daniel Nyamwea and 33-year-old Leonida Nyakirario, quarreled over the child last week while in Nairobi, with the husband accusing his wife of being unfaithful in their marriage. The husband is said to have rejected the child, claiming that he was born out of wedlock. They then traveled to Kisii with the child, where they are suspected to have killed him before returning to Nairobi. The two are being held at Gatundu South Police Station, and the baby's body has been transferred to Nyangena Hospital mortuary in Kisii, awaiting a post-mortem examination.
Mahali alipoishi alikuwa mimba, walituma ripoti ya kwamba alikuja na mtoto, lakini waliporudi walisangazwa kuona mtoto hayuko.
Wakati waliochiwa walisema enyewe walitoka na mtoto, lakini hawakurudi na mtoto. Halafu tukaanza upelelezi mahali walishika. Kidogo walisema ukweli huko. Wakasema huyo mtoto tulileta tukaweka kwa choo ingine, mahali tuliama kutoka juu tukahamia upande ya chini. Tukakuta hiyo mwili unafungwa karatasi ya simiti. Halafu inafungwa na waya.
Quite a sad tale there. We hope the baby does rest in peace, and that the parents, if they are found guilty, that action is taken appropriately. Treasury is set to release 65 billion shillings to pay pending bills by the end of the month. This was announced earlier this morning during an intergovernmental budget and economic council meeting chaired by Deputy President William Ruto. DP Ruto assured that the process of releasing the cash was in its final stages. He said suppliers whose payments have been flagged as ineligible by the Auditor General will have their issues heard and addressed by a special appeals committee in every county. The meeting that was attended by Treasury Cabinet Secretary Henry Rotich, Auditor General Edward Ouko, Controller of Budget Agnes Odhiambo, and Council of Governors Chairman Wycliffe Oparanya, among other governors. Northeastern Regional Coordinator Mohamed Biriki is leading top regional security officers in the search for the missing police officer from last weekend's Al-Shabaab IED attack on a police vehicle. The local leaders have pledged to support the exercise, at the same time urging residents to root out criminal elements that could be hiding among them. NTV's Nurdil and Muge reports.
The government said it will send additional special forces to border towns and villages suspected to be used by Al-Shabaab militia as entry point into the country.
Machifu wanaogopa maneno ya ukoo. Wanasema ukoo fulani nikitaja hii mtu nipeleke mbele, ukoo fulani itanidhulumu ama itafanya ABCD. That is why the war on terror is becoming very difficult.
Residents claim that corruption in the security sector and incompetence of local chiefs has seen Al-Shabaab operatives assess the country with relative ease.
Wale ambao watakuwa sympathizers, wale wataunga mkono Al-Shabaab, wanapatia chakula, wanapatia mahifadhi, wanapatia information, mujue ya kwamba your days are numbered.
Want to position a special force in Konton, another force in Kharsa, another force which is to strengthen Gharb Harar, to provide logistic and other security support to Gumrey and Bujigaras of Tarbaj.
The whereabouts of 3 Kenya police reservists and an administration police driver who were allegedly kidnapped from Konton after the Al-Shabaab attack over the weekends remains unknown.
We have mounted serious security operations in this county and in this region, and we want to see to it that we totally flush and eliminate any cases of Al-Shabaab penetration and movements.
Have decided to invest heavily in community sensitization and community mobilization to ensure that the menace we are facing as a county is eradicated.
Teachers and other government officers have started relocating from border towns over fears of more Al-Shabaab attacks. Nurdin Almoge, NTV, Wajir County.
The National Transport and Safety Authority says the tough guidelines on motor vehicle inspection is one sure way of reducing road carnage in the country. The proposed regulations will see a drastic rise in the number of vehicles required to undergo inspection in the country. All private vehicles that are more than 4 years old will be inspected after every 2 years, and all salvage vehicles will be inspected after repairs. Speaking in Thika during a public participation forum on the already drafted regulations, Director for Motor Vehicle Inspection Gerald Wangai said the lack of legal capacity by the authority to inspect all vehicles has seen an increase in unroadworthy vehicles on the roads. Currently, the National Transport and Safety Authority only inspects 400,000 vehicles in Kenya.
And if you look at them, they don't have jobs. But by the moment we open this to private, they will employ most of those graduate engineers and diploma holders. If we decide that we go that the government to build those inspections, and it will take a lot of time. But the moment we leave it to the private center, they will mobilize the finance and the skills immediately.
A middle-aged woman was found murdered in cold blood in Manyata area in Ruai in Embakasi in what witnesses say was a result of a love triangle. The caretaker of the building where the woman lived claims that her neighbors had an argument the night before her body was discovered. Witnesses claim that the deceased's body had a message written on it using her blood that read, "Alex killed me." The woman had failed to report to work, which led to her employer inquiring her whereabouts from her brother, who then went to her house only to find the body. The body was taken to City Mortuary as police officers begin investigations into the matter. The police are urging anyone with information about the killing to report to Kamulu Police Station.
Nisikia tuka mfurutano sijui akisema ati ulipeleka mtoto kwa nini ushako ndio ukuje ufanye umalaya. Sasa hapo na hapo nikasikia mwanamke anamjibu, sasa wewe ulikuwa unataka aje? Sasa vile hivyo na ikaisha hivyo. Nikasikia wakianza kupika huku chakula.
Kuna time alikama hapa akamnyaganya phone, akaenda nayo. And then sijui akampeleka polisi, akarudishiwa simu. Ni kama hata kijana akitoka huku, akikuja huku alikuwa ametoka polisi.
Sikia kwako kwa jirani watu wakibishana, si vizuri pia unanyamazia tu, unasema ni bibi na bwana. Saa zingine kunaweza kuwa kuna waka moto. Kama unaona venye hapa kumefanyika. Unakanyagia ribo ukisema ati wewe ni mtu na mtu wake, huwezi ingilia. Ati ama huwezi enda kuongea ama huwezi enda kutatua. Sasa unaona hii maneno imetupata. Itakuwa bado ni vyema unaenda kutatua shida. Unajua pia kuwa ndugu ya mwingine ama dada ya mwingine.
So many cases of murder in the country lately. Now, avocado farmers in Kiambu have been urged not to be dissuaded by recent reports of requirements needed to export the produce to countries like China, which has shown interest. During an avocado production and marketing pilot launch for small-scale farmers in Kiambu, Export Processing Council CEO Peter Biwott said the demand for the crop had increased with about 78 billion shillings raised through exports. In the event organized by Elite Professional Consortium, Kenya National Chamber of Commerce said that it was now focusing on training and giving seedlings to farmers with at least 1 acre of land to improve the crop profitability and production. Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, Mwangi Kiunjuri, assured farmers of government support in areas such as testing of the soil to increase productivity. Kenya is currently in talks with China to review the requirements for exporting the fruit into the Asian market. Now imagine having your studies disrupted because of being worried about contracting a communicable disease. That's been the case for some pupils at Ngwata Primary School at Athi River, that's in Machakos County. But the pupils can now focus on their studies thanks to a free medical camp at the school conducted by the Athi River Community Hospital in conjunction with the Aga Khan University Hospital. The students underwent a medical checkup and were provided with medication to ensure that they are fit and healthy to learn efficiently. According to the school head teacher, there has been an outbreak of respiratory diseases causing the children to miss class occasionally.
Today we have Aga Khan and Hall Park in conjunction with NTV. We have a health clinic in our school. We have so many challenges about communicable diseases in the school, cholera, eye problems, and chronic heart problems attributed to air pollution.
So we're doing several medical checkups. We have a team of our supporting partners. We have Aga Khan and Athi River Community Hospital here assisting us.
Let's now cross the borders and Egypt's first
5 p.m. East African time ahead of the Africa Cup of Nations that kicks off on Friday. The Harambee Stars players took part in a final training session in Paris as their 19-day residential camp came to an end. Kenya played 2 pre-tournament friendlies, winning 1-0 against Madagascar in Paris and sharing the spoils in a 1-1 draw with the Democratic Republic of Congo in Madrid. The team is expected to arrive in Egypt on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Kenya has been pooled in Group C alongside Algeria, Senegal and Tanzania. The Stars' first match will be against Algeria on Sunday, the 23rd of June. Tanzania will be up next on Thursday, the 27th of June, before Kenya winds up her group stage matches against Senegal, and that's on the 1st of July.
Good morning.